No other place in the UK voted as overwhelmingly for Brexit as this one, 76%. And it's just been voted the unhappiest town in England. Are there regrets? Welcome to Beyond Borders. A wild and windswept eastern England, which has seen two major events in this country's history. 1643, and these fields would have echoed to the sound of drums and musket fire at the Battle of Winceby in the First English Civil War. A man called Oliver Cromwell fell from his horse, and yet the royalists who surrounded him decided it would be cowardly to kill a defenseless man. How different might things have been if they had? For 6 years later, Cromwell was to be one of those who signed his king's death warrant. It was also in these parts in 2016 that another historic decision was made. The people of East Lincolnshire voted more resoundingly than anywhere else in the UK for Brexit. And it was in this town, Boston, that the cry was the loudest.
They are newcomers, they are from a different countries, so all of a sudden we are lesser evil, if you know what I mean.
Life's not as easy as it was, let's just put it that way, yeah?
Why should we lose this? It's our heritage.
I'm not foreigner, I'm British. Yeah, but I'm British.
The people who don't suffer fools gladly.
Recovering from cancer.
Yeah.
Which has hit you harder, this or Brexit?
Brexit.
It's not the happiest start for us in what's been labelled the unhappiest place in England.
But obviously you've got a lot of foreign people here, but that's what we're going for now. That's why Greek concept is my work.
In a small cafe near to the high street, our cameraman is unceremoniously pushed away as a customer tries to leave.
But
Sorry, you just barged it out of the way.
I mean, it just smashed me down.
Yeah.
We're in a town where people are separated not just by a river, but by identity, where the migrant population increased almost 6 times in the 10 years leading up to the Brexit vote, where locals say the incomers have made little attempt to integrate. You like... Okay, well that's fine. You don't speak English?
I don't.
Okay. Well, so far the people we've seen here don't speak a word of English, but the lady in charge of the shop says she'll try and help us. But perhaps that's indicative of the fact that the people of Boston, some of them at least, say these people don't fit in. Let's ask these guys here. Where are you from, sir?
Bulgaria.
Yeah, do you speak English?
No.
It's been very busy. There's obviously a large Bulgarian contingent in the town. We've yet to find anybody who speaks English, but we'll keep trying. And I just want to ask you, where are you from?
Bulgaria. Yeah. I'm not speak good English, sorry.
Sorry?
I'm not speak good English.
And add to the Bulgarians, the Portuguese, the Brazilians, then Latvians, Romanians, Russians and Poles. And I may have missed out a few nationalities as well. Most have work in the fields and factories, dealing with locally grown flowers and vegetables.
sami from the camera.
Bo to jest tak jakby psycholog, on pomaga, to jest od mental health I on pomaga.
At this migrant advice centre, they deal with those whose poor language skills leave them ill-equipped to deal with British bureaucracy.
To jest takie wsparcie, to jest pomoc, on tylko zadzwoni.
Niech będzie 10
O, do płatności.
Have you managed to sort out the issue?
Yes.
Yeah? So they're leaving here happy?
They're happy at the moment. Czyli naprawiliśmy to, po co przyszliście, tak? Tak. Problem został rozwiązany.
Yes. No problem.
Issue is sorted.
According to Iga, the Polish woman who runs the centre, there is a distinction between different groups of migrants. Those here before Brexit and those who rushed to come before the deadline to stay. The long-term foreigners are no longer regarded as the enemy, she says.
English and Poles and Lithuanians and Latvians, we are very similar. As much as many people hate to admit it, we are very similar. We are moan about the same things, we have similar sense of humor, a little bit cheeky, but this is what we are. But then when you have people from other countries coming in, they stood up.
Romania and where else?
Romanians and Bulgarians, because they came in the recent times. And because of Brexit, I'm blaming Brexit for that, because of Brexit, they felt sort of urgency to come, so they came all together. If there would be no Brexit, I believe fewer would come, because they would know that, okay, so my mom can go now, my son can come in a couple of years, and in a couple of years we can bring grandma. But because of Brexit, they had to come all together.
Strange thing is, many of them might have been expected fewer foreigners here, but you tell me there are more. So
Yes.
Why has animosity gone when that was one of the reasons for the animosity, that there were too many and now there are more?
Yes, but the animosity was with people already here. And now they are newcomers and they are from a different countries. So all of a sudden, we are lesser evil, if you know what I mean.
Most of those we meet say they would vote for Brexit again. The problems haven't gone away. Local councillor Anton Danny runs a busy cafe. He's a former mayor of Boston and originally came from Casablanca in Morocco. He's had a British passport for more than 20 years after studying law in France and then business in London.
People say Boston's not welcoming to foreigners, and yet there are so many foreigners here, and you're a foreigner.
I'm not foreign,
Well,
I'm
you're
British.
from Morocco, I do beg your
Yeah, but
pardon.
I'm British.
But you know what I meant by that. You came came from outside.
Okay, let's suppose you come from outside. The biggest migration nation in the world is the English people. They're everywhere. Australia and New Zealand, they don't belong to them. America, Canada. So let's not talk about migration and be more coming to Boston.
But that's what the people in Boston are saying.
No, I know Bostonians probably, and I lived here for the last 11 and a half years. So hello, how are you, right? So Boston is not against foreigners. There is a thing which is pushed Boston, like for example, to vote for Brexit, and they were the highest voting town in England by 74-76% of Bostonians voted
And
Brexit.
a lot of them said it was because of migration. But you don't believe that?
No, because people, when they think about migration, and when I talk like to the German TV, they push it always to be a racist comment on that, and I think it's completely wrong. People in Boston, they're fed up with the government basically opening the door for anybody to come and live and work. And what happens in Boston is that kind of a little image which could have been rectified by the government, because the government, they never give any grants, or they never help Boston for integration. They never help with the infrastructure. So as a resident of Boston, yes, even me, I used to promote Brexit in Boston every Saturday. It doesn't mean that because my parents from different country or different origin, that we are racist against migration. It's not. Our infrastructure were hit hard. Schools are full. We don't have space. GPs, you cannot book a time. There is no space. The A&E was packed, NHS was packed. So there is that kind of a pressure on Boston. So the people of Boston, they say enough is enough. We have so many people coming here, they're more than welcome, but we cannot afford to have that amount extra. The influx of migration at once did affect all of this infrastructure. And that's what was the issue. The issue wasn't against anybody that the Bostonians, I will say, and they are racist or they are against migration. And as you notice, most of my clients here, they're English people.
Well, let me ask you, come over here for a second, quickly. It won't take a second. Do you agree with, you've heard what he said, do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah.
You do? Do you agree? Go on, you agree with what Anton said?
Yes, I agree with him all the time.
And what about you? You've heard what Anton said?
I can definitely say you're speaking to the right man. Yeah.
So it's not about racism.
No.
No, it's just about Boston can't cope. There you go.
And then we meet one person who's not sure if he got it right by voting Leave. The author Derek Turner has written about what makes the people of this English county what they are.
I promise I will pay for this one.
Derek was a Brexiteer. Today he's wavering.
This is from Mr. Turner's. I'm paying for his pension.
Right, jolly good.
Is there a way of summing up the character of people from this county?
Independent-minded, I think, stubbornly so, perhaps awkwardly so sometimes, unpretentious, interested, practically minded. I remember once going to the beach not long after we'd moved up here, and we saw this extraordinary vista of wonderful golden sands going on for miles and miles. And I was standing beside an elderly farmer and his friend, and the elderly farmer turned to the chap beside him and said, "All that sand, it's good for nought." So that seemed to me to sum up the severely practical nature of at least some of the people living up here in Lincolnshire. The people who don't suffer fools gladly, who just like to be themselves and to be left alone.
The shipping companies won't ship to us, the UK. It's too difficult for them.
Away from the town, we're to visit 3 businesses.
What's the skill here?
Just make sure you put it in the right place.
To see how they see the future.
We're our 8th generation, so it'd be nice for it to carry on. Why should we lose this? It's our heritage, but the reality is that doesn't pay for bills.
Not all of the veg-picking jobs have gone to migrants.
How much does one of these
We sell 60p, that's what we sell
60p
them
for
yeah,
that?
that's right, yeah. That's what we sell
How much do they pay for them in the shop?
Well, I was in Sainsbury's the other day, they're £2 they're not quite as long as that, neither.
The Wardby family farm is a multi-generational affair, from 82-year-old grandpa to 18-year-old James, taking time off from drama school to cut cauliflowers and cabbage.
When we first come down to Wigtoff here, where we live now, I was 18. I just passed my test. I was 18 I was, just passed my driving test.
So that's 65 years ago.
That's right, now I'm 82, so you know how long. Yeah, it's changed endlessly.
I'm going to ask you a political question now.
Yeah.
I hope you don't mind.
No, I don't, no.
This county voted more than any other place in Britain for Brexit. How did you vote?
Well, I voted to come out, actually. That's what I voted for, to come out. I thought we'd be better. We're not having so much foreign stuff, but there's still just as much coming in as there was before. I don't think it's made any difference in that line, not with the stuff, because the supermarkets all want something all the time, don't they?
Well, it's
all
the customers, really, isn't it?
The customers want something all the time. They might want Brussels in the middle of the summer. Well, it used to be from about September onwards, by over Christmas, Brussels did. But now it ain't, you see, it's all the time.
6 years after that vote,
Yeah.
when you voted to leave,
yes.
Would you do the same or not?
Well, I don't think it'd make any difference. I don't think it's made a lot of difference, tell you the truth. I don't, no.
So you might vote to stay now?
Well, I think we would.
20 years ago or 25 years ago, there was huge amounts of family farms around and everybody had regular staff and they kept them all winter, you know. And the staff was versatile. They'd drive tractors, they'd do any job on the farm. That's what they used to do. But now, because the small family farms is gradually disappearing, the big companies, which mainly is driven by the sale from the supermarket, they want volumes. So you get the big companies that's got bigger and bigger and bigger. And the new business model has been over the last 20 years, just get your staff when you want them, you know, just ring an agency up or get somebody in just when you want them. And that's worked fine, you know, and that's how they've done it. They've streamlined the business, only probably had one tractor driver on or two tractor drivers, and just brought the rest of the migrant labour in as they've wanted it.
So you understand why the big farms bring in immigrant labour.
Plus the English, they wouldn't find enough English to do this sort of work now, you know, whereas years ago when I was at school, not being awful, but they'd look in a classroom of boys and there'd be the top cream who'd go to odd ones would go to university, and so you might be a good, and the rest of us at the bottom layer who weren't so bright, you'll find a job on the land, you'll find a job driving a lorry or something like that, you know, and that's how it was dictated to now. And now the schooling now, they're telling everybody they can do whatever they want to do, you know, and all of a sudden the young lads at the bottom, they're thinking, well, we're not going to do that, you know, somebody says I can do this and do the other, and that's what's drove them away from the land, because it is hard.
So what you've got here is a family business.
Yes.
A lot of people complain in Lincolnshire about the immigrant workers that have to come in.
Yes.
But you don't need them.
Well, I do think sometimes that is a little bit annoying when we're doing it as a family firm, and you always sort of say, you know, that people are always assuming that's the sort of people that are working. Not that, you know, not that it's a problem, but it's getting workers, I think, actually, as well for people, isn't it, really?
Would you find it difficult?
I do it because of my brother. I'm not sure if I'd be out here all day otherwise.
We set off to see how the people of today feel, but I have discovered a personal connection in all of this that goes back to the 1850s. My great-grandfather, William Gadsby, grew up on a sheep farm just 20 miles from Boston, but eventually chose a new life elsewhere as a migrant. In the same year that he sailed for New Zealand, so did another 45,000 people. Pretty much the same number that illegally crossed the Channel from France to England last year. They were all taking a gamble. So, Mick, tell me, what can you make here? Mick Maximovich is the child of immigrant parents who came to the UK in 1945 from Poland. I can't believe what we're seeing in here, Mick. Take us through some of these rifles.
Well, I mean, that's a 300 WSM for long-range shooting. It's a carbon fibre rifle with a carbon fibre stock and barrel. Weighs about 3 kilos in total. Used for hunting and carrying. These are competition rifles for FTR and 308. These are competition rifles in 284 Winchester.
Go on, tell me how much that costs.
That's about £7,000 with a spare.
And the guys ordered how many?
11. Life's not as easy as it was, let's just put it that way, yeah? I'm sure other people are struggling more than us, but we've just tried to be as proactive as possible and get on with it.
Very well. He's a champion shooter and makes high-end rifles. He voted Remain, and he doesn't believe immigrants are a problem. Brexit has hit his business, with exporting more difficult.
I mean, we've got an example of a trigger company in Germany, in Austria, sorry, Bix and Andy. We've got a licence, which we never used to require, but even with a licence, the shipping companies won't ship to us, the UK. It's too difficult for them. So we make all these here. These are our own in-house bespoke rifle stock. Yeah?
You can't get the bits. How much has Brexit cost you?
Well, it's mainly costs on stuff we used to sell out into Europe, yeah? About 100 grand a year in turnover, I suppose, yeah? We just can't ship it. We can't get the DHL or UPS to move it because the paperwork's too involved. Some stuff we used to be able to send, like a stock, piece of aluminium, without an export licence. It's not licensable. but countries in Europe now who never required an import licence and an export licence for something like this are now requiring an export licence for simple items.
100 grand a year it's costing you on a turnover of what?
About 900.
And a profit of what?
I don't know what. I've lost about 30 grand, 40 grand, 35 grand on that.
You've just had chemo, you recovering from cancer.
Yeah.
Look, perhaps a silly question, but which has hit you harder, this or Brexit?
Brexit. I've got over chemo. I've got over cancer. That's fine. The NHS have been brilliant, but this has hurt. I mean, it's cost us 100 grand in turnover.
Can you last?
Yeah, of course we can. Yeah, we're British. We'll make the best of it and get on with it. But no, we have a British market. We have another export market. But Europe was a nice market. We've lost.
Are you looking for somewhere else then? Are you going to America or?
No, we've got new markets. We're sending stuff to Australia, New Zealand, Pakistan. We're sending some stuff to America, but that's growing. Yeah, we're exporting as much as we can. We export about 35% of our product.
And that's easier now to send it to places that aren't in Europe?
Oh, much. Much easier.
So it's all in your blood. It's something that...
Well, it's a hobby gone wrong, really, in some respects. You know, I enjoy coming to work because it's part of what I like to do as well. But yeah, it's just great. You know.
Still love it, even though you got problems?
Yeah. Well, problems are there to be overcome, but I mean, it would be nice if we didn't have the problems to overcome. But you know, I'm sure the rest of the British industry will get round it. But it's just cost us all money in the interim and time and effort.
And there's Wayne, who tries to run a shrimping boat from Boston, but simply cannot afford to go out at the moment.
Definitely Brexit was a first start of the problems, and then far too much red tape locally. We can't cope with it.
But that's British red tape now that we've left the European Union.
Exactly, it should have been a lot easier and was supposed to make the fishing industry a better industry for the local fishing industry, but gone totally opposite. We're bogged down in red tape. We can't move. We can't do nothing.
And how does that affect you? You've got 5 boats?
We have 5 boats in our family, up to 12, 14 crews when it's busy. At the minute, everybody's gone ashore. I've got 4 people staying with me just to maintain the boats. People's had to go ashore and sustain the families and pay the bills in an economic crisis.
No catch at all.
The catch is now dead. You won't see anybody at work for probably 6 or 7 months now. This one's called the Ruby Doo. My daughter's named Ruby, and we just nickname her Ruby Doo, so that's what we thought we'd name this vessel. You've always got that fighting spirit, but I think that is being lost because people just can't see.
Still like it though?
I don't know sometimes now. I did. I always loved this job. You go out there, it's the best thing you'll ever see on a nice day. Even in the winter, it has its attraction. But with all the democracy and the red tape, it's just mentally draining.
Your kids, 2 of them work on the boat that I know.
Yeah.
I mean, will they carry on doing it?
They love this. They want to carry it on. I'm probably the one who's saying you're probably going to have to look at something different, but they want to stay in this. And, it'd be nice for I'm 8th generation, so it'd be nice for it to carry on. Why should we lose this? It's our heritage. But the reality is that doesn't pay for bills and live your life, does it? So hopefully it doesn't end that way, but I'm not confident.
It is a confusing time for many in the UK, politically and financially cut off from Europe, and maybe most obviously confusing for the people in this town and this county who were instrumental in that divorce. It is a sad time, particularly for Boston. Nothing has changed for the better, most of them tell us. The town's £22,000 Christmas tree is a fake and has no lights. A number of shops in the town centre have been closed down by the police and local council under what are called ASBOs, anti-social behaviour orders. One of the charges was employing persons with no right to work in the UK. So the feelings of alienation, which caused Bostonians to lead the charge for the Brexit door, will most likely persist as they see outsiders, once again in their view, taking advantage.